lot of casting, and you need to be in good condition to keep it up. But there's plenty of incentive behind every cast. There's always that thought in your mind that the very next cast could be the one to connect with Mr. Big. And this one does. The big fellow's on at last. With one incredible run, he takes out 200 yards of line in a matter of seconds, and he's still pulling hard. With 300 yards of line out, I'm starting to find myself in a lot of trouble. He's out in the current and heading south. If I can't stop him in his tracks right now, he'll cut me off on the rocks when he goes around the point. He's calling the tune now, and I'm going to have to do some fancy running to keep up with him. In a situation like this, the gaff man only gets one chance, and Joe makes it a good one. This is the fish we were after, a 45-pound Spaniard. From the time the fish rounded the point, Joe and I were running all the way. But as we carry him back, you can get some idea of the sort of ground over which that running fight took place. When it's all over, you wonder how you managed to run over rocks like these and fight a fish at the same time. Maybe it's adrenaline-powered flight. When there's a big fish on the other end of that line, I'm sure my feet never touch the ground. One Spaniard on the rocks, and my fishing is all over for the day. The fight may have been hard, but the walk home is going to be a lot harder. And it doesn't look as if I'll be getting any help from Joe. With one cast, he's made it a double header. He's locked in, and that's another big fish. Another hard fight ends in an incredibly difficult situation. A smooth, slippery rock, a 10-foot lift with a 40-pound fish, and the gaff breaks under the strain. It's not every day you get into hand-to-hand combat with a fish, but there's no way we're going to let this fellow get away. This time it's a cobia, 41 pounds of muscle and heart, one of the toughest game fish in the sea. In or out of the water, cobia just never know when to give in. lure that can take a fish like this is worth its weight in gold, and Joe has no intention of losing this one, even if it does cost him an arm to get it back. I don't suppose a cobia would ever win a prize in a beauty contest, but like the Spaniards, they're a fine table fish. 2 consecutive casts for 86 pounds of fish. There can't be too many places in the world that can boast fishing like that. A broken gaff is a cheap price to pay for that result. And now we have to pay for a great day's rock fishing. It's time to face up to the long walk home. Joe and I were in complete agreement that the fishing at Hat Head was a whole lot better than the walking. We had a hunch we might get lucky this particular day, so we cheated a little bit and took out some insurance against a big catch. The time it took to row this little boat halfway out along the headland proved to be a good investment. When you have the wind at your back and 150 pounds of fish and tackle to get home, rowing beats walking any day. With the end of our visit close at hand, we used our last day on the headland to check out a new location for future reference. With 2 good days fishing behind us, we had more than enough fish stored away in the freezer to keep the folks back home happy. But we still took the same time and care rigging up to start the day. Mackerel up to 70 pounds are hooked from these rocks, and it doesn't matter 2 hoots how many fish you have stored away in the freezer. When a fish like that comes along, you want to be ready for him. I think the 3 most important things associated with spinning for game fish from the rocks are to have first-class tackle, unlimited patience, and perhaps most important of all, the ability to work with another fisherman as a team. The man on the rod has to play the fish and beat him, and the gaff man has the all-important job of actually getting that fish out of the water. Here, Joe has to watch the line to keep a check on the position of the fish. He has to make sure he never gets in my way. And at the same time, he has to keep an eye on the incoming waves. A good gaff man really does need to have eyes in the back of his head. This is a bad situation for Joe, and it's up to me to keep the fish away from the rocks until he can try for him with safety. Mutual trust, timing and coordination all play a part, and when you get it all together, everything goes off like clockwork. In a spot like this, one mistake could cost you a fish, and one careless move could put you in the water, and that's a place for fish, not fishermen. And so this is the summer story for the Northern Rock fishermen. An endless variety of headlands to explore along hundreds of miles of coastline. Warm currents, blue water, and big fish. To many men, game fishing from the rocks presents the ultimate challenge. There are sharks, cobia, kingfish and tuna, every one of them tough opponents for the rock fishermen. But in this part of the world, the prize catch is the Spanish mackerel, the wolf of the sea. Big or small, they're a fine game fish. But the bigger they are, the better the fishermen like it.